Hello, hello, and welcome to the studio. Today we are going to experiment with some new art supplies. These are Rembrandt soft pastels, and down here in fine print, extra fine soft pastels. And this is a 30 pack. And originally they were priced at something I could not afford, 132, I believe. And that's why I've never bought really good chalk pastels. However, a local art store was going out of business, sadly, and it was 70% off. So, among other supplies, I also got these Rembrandt soft pastels, and I really want to jump in and give them a go in my sketchbook. I plan on making each sketch very short and sweet and just experimental. I'm gonna do little pathways inspired by the seasons. 4 seasons on 2 pages. So these are the pastels. I've always wanted a good quality pastel set, chalk pastel set with more than just the primary colors, but I've never indulged in that before this sale that I found. A 70% off art store going out of business, sadly, but it resulted in me being able to buy a couple things that I just didn't indulge in before because it's not my medium. And I am deeply interested in it, but yeah, I just couldn't really justify a brand new medium. How do I get into this, people? Oh, there we go. Has the colors on the side, which would be really helpful if you ran out and you needed to buy them individually. I wonder if that's an option. This says the professional choice. Here we go. That must be their full range, so if I wanted to buy more, that is excellent. Here we go. Eee. Heard of this brand, obviously, but never had anything by them. Oh, look how soft that is. It doesn't even need paper. It's coming off. Wow, I'm excited. Shall we play? Okay, I think I'm going to, so I'm just pulling out this this sketchbook. It's actually falling apart, which made me sad. Last time I opened it, I saw this seam coming apart. But I pulled out this sketchbook because, as you can see, it's very experimental, and it's not something that I love to look at. It's kind of a big, old, gigantic mess of, hey, I'm gonna work in here, and there's some things that I'm excited about and other things that I just, cannot handle to look at. Things that I just did to, you know, not kill time, but spend time in the act of creating without ever expecting it to be anything. This is just the cover of a book I was reading last year. And then other times I did, you know, you do end up landing on some things you really like, but a lot of this is Jane Davenport inspired, so it's not my own style or inspiration, but it is me pushing myself in that direction because I appreciate her skills as a fashion illustrator. Now she's an artist, but that was her training. I don't know how the chalk pastel will behave on top of other materials, so it might be best to just work on top of plain sketchbook paper instead of diving into something like this. So that is what I'll do. And I think I'm gonna go just jump into a inspiration of the seasons, and I'm going to do what would be spring and summer and fall. I'm purposely making this kind of like a puffy square. It's kind of chunking out. I'm just going to pick a different color for each season, draw a border using Prismacolor Color Erase. So you can actually erase these colored pencils, but you can use any colored pencil or just regular graphite. I want to start with fall. I have no idea what I'm doing. I didn't even like test or swatch these. I'm just, ooh, look at how they smear. I'm just interested in diving in and seeing what I'm able to create right off the bat. I'm able to mix these colors really well. Oh my gosh, you have no idea how exciting this is to me. I can't believe I waited this long to, I let money get in the way of something that could become a passion. It's drawing and painting at the same time. Oh, okay, I'm losing it, people. I'm so excited. Okay, deep breaths, deep breaths. So I'm just doing a fall road. Because I wanted to dive into this without overthinking it and without any delay, my actual goal today is to do some oil painting over top of an acrylic ground that I already have and I'm excited about. But first I just really wanted to work in my sketchbook in a non-controlled way so that I can just, I don't know, almost like warm up before I get into the more realistic painting. And then the fact that I found this sale this week and did that, just, yeah, told me, you should be trying something else. Just from looking at it so far, I feel like this medium is going to translate so well into oil painting. If I want to take any of these sketches and then turn them into an oil painting, for example, a collector or client might see the sketches and they don't want a pastel, but they love the color, they love the composition, or the subject matter speaks to them, and then they can say, hey, I want you to turn this sketch into an oil painting for me. And that's super, super exciting, because obviously if I made it in the first place, I'm inspired by it. And so to get paid to work with the subject again and translate it into another medium, so exciting. So exciting. I'm using the edge of the pastels to get these sharper marks, and it's working really well. I'm wondering what that will be like when these are more worn in, and if I'm gonna have to, I don't know, I've never been really taught in chalk pastel, really. I've taught it just in terms of drawing and mixing. It is part of the Drawing 2 course after Drawing 1 at Texas Tech. So I have taught drawing, and then we dive into colored medium such as this. But I'm trying to remember if we did chalk pastel or if we did oil pastel, or if we did both. And then there's Conte as well, which is another viable option. Ooh, I feel like you and me are going to be best friends. Permanent. Okay, that's not English. Perm yellowish green. Oof, love the technical term. Perm yellowish green, and look at how it lays down on the red. This is amazing. I knew that just getting the very basic set of pastels would not really satisfy my color needs. I know you can technically mix a bunch of colors, but this is not the same. If you start with this mix of colors, this broader range, you're just going to be able to fast forward a lot of time trying to blend unique colors because they're given to you already. I'm not sure if it's exactly like paint in terms of, I mean, I know you can blend colors, but I'm not entirely sure I'd be able to get these exact colors with just the primaries. So I know that some people wear a respirator when they're working large scale with these. You really don't want to be breathing this in. But I'm thinking that if I'm working small sketchbook style or size, that I might get away with vacuuming it, or because look, that's a lot of dust. I could also wear a dust mask, you know, just regular old COVID mask. I bet you that's what I'll end up doing if I work in these a lot. You can see the orange is picking up and dragging the color of the trunks around just a little bit. I haven't left a ton of white. I'm kind of curious how white works on top of this. I'm doing horizontal dashes here instead of vertical in other directions to kind of emphasize the flat ground here. And then see here, I'm moving the brush strokes up like that. Wow, the smearability, like how much that mixes and blends things is amazing. Now I know that there's a certain level, like a certain amount, you can build this chalk onto the page and then it won't really take anymore, right? You'll have exhausted the texture, the grooves will be full, and that's that. So it's not like you can indefinitely just keep layering on top like acrylic. I want the overall color to be orange. And now I'm just a bit curious as to whether or not the Col-Erase Prismacolor colored pencils work on top of it. It seems they do. So if I want a bit more smaller texture, I can scribble this on. I'm going to need fixative, a spray that will sort of stick the pigment or the pigment to the page and help it from smearing. I have a fixative, I'm pretty sure that I can show you, but you can also use hairspray to sort of protect it just a little bit. And I'm curious about one more thing. I have some regular wax colored pencils here, so not, well, those ones, yeah, I don't really know what those ones are made of. They're erasable ones, but I am just curious how much let's pull out a dark green. Or maybe a purple. So I can still add, in fact, it's working really well over top of the pastel. Even when it's pretty loaded up, the colored pencil is still laying on top of that. So that's really, really exciting. Zoom in a little bit here so you can see a little better. This will be nice if, like I said, I'm unable to get crisp lines with the colored pencil, with the new pastels, I can go in with the colored pencil. I think it's almost black. It's so dark here. I'm trying to just suggest the like little parts of the tree instead of drawing every little branch. There's some in the background here. This is kind of, there's a tree in the foreground here. And then these are kind of background. Another big tree that's coming down. So I'm moving a little bit beyond the very basic inspiration that I laid down first, and now I'm trying to actually, it's like a dark orange. I wonder if, kind of reading brown. This is the perfect color, and wow, does it lay down nice. These are versatile, these pastels. I'll be able to draw with almost any medium, not pen obviously on top of this. I bet you I could put down some acrylic paint markers over top of it. I'm not going to do that right now. I think this is enough experimentation, but good to know, very good to know, that there's not a lot of limits on this. I'm really impressed and excited. I'm going to take this orange and I'm going to emphasize the outline one more time in a very rough way. And then I might just call it almost. I really want this very light creamy yellow to go back in there. And as I said I would, I will just do a little tiny experiment here with how the white lays over the other marks. And I assumed it would do good. This is do well, but this is really, oh wow, it's really impressive. I'm gonna do a couple more little glints of sky through here. There aren't these glints in the reference image, but I just want to add them. Maybe right here. That was fun. And right now I'm going to jump into winter. Let me just clip this down. And that might help. They're incredibly messy and I love this. I love it, I love it, I love it. I was thinking, should I wash my hands? I'm not sure that's necessary. I'm gonna zoom out a little bit so you can see all of the colors that I get to choose from. And I'm keeping things really really loose today. That is actually more detailed than I intended to do, just because I was so excited and interested in testing out a couple of colored pencils and things with it, but this one's going to be a lot more general, I think. So what I'm seeing in my reference photo is a lot of silver blue. There's a lot of shadow coming right from here. So I'm going to deepen the grays there. And maybe this would be a good time to sketch in the only real defined part of this, which is the bridge. And I'm sure I could do this sketching in pastel. It's just, since I've already discovered that the colored pencil works really well, why not fully put it to the test? Looks like there's a little patch of deadly black ice here. It could just be gravel of the path, a bit of meltedness, but I'm going to lay it in like that. And I think I'm going to use this black colored pencil to do the suggestion of the trees. But I might want to do that in just a second instead of first thing. So this gets really pale in the background. I think I'm going to need to lighten that up. That's better. And then a very pale blue along the sides. Gray in the background, almost yellow. I think I might add a bit of, where's that pale, pale yellow? That's the one right there. Some pretty great, very cool sunlight. In Canada, the winter light is very cold. It's not this warm, sort of orangey, both warm physically and visually speaking, like color-wise, it's cooler. You feel a very pale warmth when you're sunning yourself on a winter day in Canada, at least where, as far as I can remember when I was living on the East Coast. You know, you find a little patch of sunlight. I would go and try to sketch in the snow. I tried watercolors for a little while, and the top of the watercolor palette, right above where the color I'm trying to get is, it would a little thin film words. A thin film of water would freeze on top of the color from my brush. It would freeze, and then I couldn't get up any color. So I gave up trying with the watercolor in winter and relied on other paints and drawing more, or just not doing as much plein air. I wonder if there's like a little vacuum. Somebody tell me, you know, for this dust, like a little hand. That would be, I feel like, healthier than blowing it off into my computer and everywhere else around me. That doesn't seem ideal. Dark gray. So just the center of the bridge is showing because there's some snow piled up on either side. There's a bit of yellow in here. Maybe it's a bit warmer than that. A smidge. Yeah, that's good. It is a little bit warmer in places. Purple, I think, might need to come out. I see purple in here. Purple, blue, purple, blue. Deep periwinkle. Perfect. Perfect color. Da, 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 da. So I'm just going to do this light suggestion of trees sort of leaning in towards one another, which is kind of, you could describe it as story. Like, what's the thing that you are feeling when you look at this image? And I think that this sort of curling protectively over the path could be a story. And when I say story, I don't mean literal novel or anything. I mean giving your art something to say, whether consciously or not, that the viewer could absorb consciously or not. Let's do this in black. And this we're going to do a little bit in black, but it's got more light hitting it, so we're also going to pull in brown. And there's even yellow right here and here. Notice I'm just keeping this kind of loose, and I'm not defining the fence, or rather bridge, all that much. I'm just going to suggest. So the snow is very blue on this side because it's in shadow. And then on this side, it's still got blue in it, but I'm going to put less blue in it. And I'm going to add, oops, that turned very brown. Yeah, everything kind of mixes together really easily, which isn't a bad thing. It's just, I think, something that I'll have to learn how to control a bit more than right now. I'm just learning. And as I've been doing with everything, adding a bit more yellow on the side where it's catching. So maybe a bit more yellow in the trees, on the snow. This will be challenging. I have to kind of add snow to these branches, so they're kind of hanging down. Ooh, I like that effect, how just scribbling over it kind of muddies and makes the lines disappear a little. That kind of looks like snow. And then the background, the actual sky is looking a bit very, very faintly pale pink. So I'm not going to risk trying to use this dark pink in the sky and getting it pale enough. I'm going to just scribble in a tiny bit of pink with this pencil brand. So it's very warm right now, which isn't a bad thing. I wonder, can I mix? I gotta look at what finger is not covered in black here. And I'm kind of wondering if I can mix the pink and the white, even though the pink is a pencil crayon and the white's pastel. And I think it kind of works. You're just you're layering it really. I don't think it's mixing the pigments. I think it's just layering. I don't love the pink in here. I think rather than just doing what I see, I should do what I want the drawing to feel like. And for me, I would like it to be a bit cooler than pink and yellow. Plus I just don't love the color scheme of yellow and blue all that much. Purple and blue though, I can do that. Purple and blue I can get aboard. So I'm layering some feather is the color. It's purple. And I'm layering some of that over top of the sort of periwinkle. The actual color says ultramarine deep, but to me it looks like a blue purple, like a periwinkle. And I'm going to pull in this deep, deep blue. I don't mind that. It's not my favorite. I would really like to do some studies that are all scribbles. Is that too much to ask? Why am I making everything like sort of defined and closer to realism? I just want abstracted scribbles. Listen to my impulses, dear hand. Turquoise-ish. What is this? 70s eyeshadow. Oh yeah. Turquoise blue. So time to loosen up just a little and make sure we're letting go of looking at the reference photo and just making the drawing that we want to make now. Making it just as scribbly and abstracted as I want. I'm enjoying that you can kind of go a bit too far and then push back. That's really exciting to me. Softening the edges. I think maybe inside of that is peach. I think I like this better than pink for sure. Whoops. This sort of paler peach color. Okay, am I done? I think overall, maybe it needs just a smidge more blue, purple blue. And making sure I have left enough white to imply snow is piling up on the top of the railing here. So you can layer, you can scratch off. That could be a fun technique to practice. So fall and winter. For the spring landscape sketch, so I'm sort of leaning into, thematically, these aren't just landscapes, they're paths. So fall path, winter path, and this will be spring path. So I'll just start from the top and go down. I'm going to add, wow, that's blue. See how those two mix really well to kind of make a different color, but it's not too dark to be sky. It's just very rich. And it's going to come down into some purple gray clouds. So I'm just doing the shadow of the clouds here. But I'm going to leave the outsides sort of white. And of course I'm smudging everything because it's fun and I haven't had these before. So that's why. Then we've got sort of this mountain. Rich greens. That one's a little cold, but we're gonna warm it up with, this looks like a very warm green. Perfect for these trees right here. Everything is just a scribble in this one. There's a lot of different greens I'm gonna add, which is perfect to represent spring. That was just to shade the back a little, a couple little scratches. And I think I want this to be a bit warmer. So I'm gonna add some yellow blobs where the light is hitting those trees. And then we need like more of a turquoisey. That's too blue right here, I think. We'll try. It's okay for a little couple spots, but it's a bit too much to use a lot of it. It doesn't really make sense. It's not a real natural green. It's more like a tropical, kind of the green you get in swimming pools, etc. So I wonder if maybe I could darken. I don't really want to use black. I'm trying to think of how to darken that back mountain brown. Is that too warm? I can't use this brown because it's lighter in value. I want to use a dark value, but I think I might have to mix in a bit of black for this back hill. Don't worry, I will try to mix that in. And there's some shadow right here. This is pretty intense light. I might not. I was gonna say I might not emphasize that shadow, but then I went ahead and did it. You know what would be really nice is those tiny, they are little, these are my drawing materials for Drawing 2 class, and this little blending smudger for how small we're working is kind of I thought it might be a nice idea. Normally it's in a point, but the point got smushed down, which is unfortunate, but I'm thinking it might be a great tool for these pastels. Going to use this bright grass green to lay in everything else. The composition isn't quite the same as there's way more sky in this than the sky to grass ratio in this one than the actual reference, but that's okay. I always say that, but that's okay. Let's bring in some sunshine here and a little bit of maybe even beige would work there. Something background. These are messy. There's a lot of chalk residue, so I'm not sure. I'm gonna have to Google just really how to control that situation. So the path in this one is barely visible. It is slightly delineated with the shadowing of the grass. That works for me, just a little darker. And what is this missing? Some foreground detail, some flower, possible flower suggestions, and then also I can push and define the clouds a bit more. Right now they're not really a realistic shape. They're not really the shape that's in the picture. That's not necessarily a problem, but I'm trying to make them look a little bit realistic. And sometimes, well, that can be a challenge. I think maybe bringing in a bit of the blue into here. Yeah, that's good enough, I think, for our purposes. One last to go. Let's do summer. For a summer path, we're going to go straight to the beach. I have washed my hands so that they are clean and able to work with the new color scheme of this one. Maybe I'm putting on too much chalk and that's why it's so, too much pastel, and that's why it's so, there's so much blowing off, but also that could just be the way it works. So right now I'm working on the sky and where it meets the ocean. This is the horizon right here. And I'm going to darken the surface of the water. Let me just crisp it up here. And then I'm going to, and I kind of added like a little bit of periwinkle cloud cover right at the horizon. And then I'm going to add some highlights to this water. And then we're going to dive right into, this is waves, and this is the foamy part of the water, followed by more wave where it then hits sandy beach. So that's going to look kind of like this, Oh, that's what happens when you don't clean the chalk off your finger, is you get green. I actually don't mind, and I'm looking at the reference photo. It actually has green in it, which is in the sand. There is a green tint, so it works out just fine. But I think I also want maybe this peachy color in here mixed with white, because it just isn't that dark. So we're going to use the white to maybe lighten the value a little. I could have used the white of the page as well, but I'm not terribly practiced with this yet. So that was my easy way out. I think I will use blue, something a little more easily controlled, to sharpen up the top of the waves here. And then maybe I can add a little bit of detail in where it's all kind of frothy. I need this sort of turquoise blue. And then I'm going to have this kind of that's not correct at all. I wonder, I bet if I just take this out like this and then outline again, that will be better. And then over here, so I think the boardwalk ends here. And then the fence sort of extends a bit further. And the perspective on this and the sizing is just not right, and I don't really care. It's okay by me. So, like my little squiggles. Awesome. Let's jump into getting some color in the foreground here. A little sliver there, and then a shape, kind of reshape the boardwalk with the vegetation color. This is a very dirty brown green, kind of like olivey. It's called olive green. Spot on. And we're just going to layer brighter green over top of it, and then even brighter green on top of that. Little tiny bit of green peeking through the fence there, and then we're going to use, I want kind of a sharp edge for the grass there. It's not bad. That would be much more easily done, those little grass marks, with a colored pencil, but I don't really have a color that I want to use there. So kind of wonder if this could add some highlight in here. Not really. So this light green does not lay on top of the dark. That's okay. I'm just kind of experimenting, seeing what actually works over top. Kind of want to make some texture with the green. And then of course we can't forget our shadows, but let me just see if I can get the boardwalk sorted out. It's really not, nothing's really going down over top of that. So I think yellow is probably the best choice. It's hard to lay that down on top of colored pencils, so not really working, but that's okay. This one's going to be really rough then. I have just decided. We're bringing brown into it where there really isn't brown, but I'm finding the color of this boardwalk is just not quite on. I'm having trouble finding the right colors. I just reached over and grabbed a watercolor pencil crayon and broke it. I almost see a dark, pardon my voice, I almost see a dark green as the shadow here. Not almost, I do. And I have a choice to make. I could make these shadows in black. I don't think they're that dark. I could do a dark blue, which is kind of what I see, and then it could tie into the, and then it could tie into the water a bit more. So I'm gonna go out like that. Let me just see if I can use like that, and then we've got a change of plane, so kind of a bit of a change of angle of the shadow, and we've got a crossbar right here. And that bar has its own shadow. And it's on a slight angle, kind of like that one too. So the shadow brings a lot of realism to it, so it's worth taking your time to get those angles right. I'm gonna add some shadow here. And you can't really see on this side, so I mean there's a bit of a shadow. Oops. I'm looking at my computer for the reference and it just, screensaver just went on. Let's put another bar right here, and that does, there is a bit of a shadow happening over here in the grass, so kind of semi-add that in a very rough way. I like keeping my pencil crayons or colored pencils organized. Are you like that as well? Where you just, you don't really like, I like being able to grab, like just reach up and grab, and I know where the colors are. So these will be staying like that. I'm not really going to change it much. I think for this one, I did outline it in white originally, but I really think that it needs to be in a little bit of a blue sketchy square. It came out over on the bottom. Look at all this dirt here. I don't really know how to get rid of that other than maybe lay down some tape or white paint or something later, and probably tape, but I don't really care. It's fine. So there's our little summery scene. So we have spring and summer and fall and winter paths. I hope you enjoyed experimenting with me and with these brand new Rembrandt Extra Soft Pastels. I'm in love with them. I'm not very good with them yet, but that's why I'm sharing this process, so that you can be a part of it. You can see that an artist with 20 plus years experience has to continuously start fresh and brand new when they find a new medium or materials. It's a brand new adventure. So until next time.